New edition, new era, joined by Peyton Hillis here. Peyton, we're talking some Arkansas football. I know you were a little outspoken about Ryan Silverfield here. I think you come from a place that a lot of the fans came from as well. Your thoughts changed here at all as he's gotten to work here in the first week?
No, not really. But I see him out there. He's really, like holding babies and signing autographs and stuff out there right now, which is his job to do. And, I see him that he's putting forth effort out there, and that's good.
So, he had to get to work and build up a lot of equity with the fan base. I felt like he did that on the first day, those first 24 hours, flipping some players here from within the state. A lot of people over the years, maybe even yourself included here, the last, I don't know, it seems like a decade or so. Hey, they've lost the identity of the program. It's not as much about Arkansas guys, whether that's players from in the state or even just players from outside the state, that they get it. They get the culture. Danny Beal, the #1 player in the state, flips. There's two others that also flip. TJ Hodges, the running back from Bryant. One other player, names escaped me here for a second. But 4 of the top 5 players now, prep-wise, state of Arkansas, committed to Arkansas. Is that exactly what he needed to do?
I don't know about exactly. I think that's really something broad that I don't think anybody knows. I mean, getting guys inside the state, that's wonderful. I mean, that's something that's hadn't been done in a while, and I like seeing that. I mean, you want people that have lived in this state that love the Razorbacks to come to this program because they're going to sweat and bleed for it. To me, at this point, it's just some kind of talking point and some kind of marketing gig with the powers that be, the people that have money. I mean, last year we were 28th in the country recruiting, and 13th in the SEC. This year, from what I've seen, it's 71 in the country and 15th in the SEC. So as far as recruiting and, getting guys to come here, the class has gone down. No, does that mean that we don't have a good crop coming in? No. I mean, those are just numbers. But I think a lot of it is still just unseen, and we're going to find out a lot in the future.
Yeah, the transfer portal's changed things so much, right? Like it's not as much about the high school recruits. There's very few schools that are not you're looking the Ohio States, the Georgias, the Alabamas. If you're getting top 100, top 150 players, you don't have to be a portal school per se. But Arkansas is going to be a portal school. So Quincy Rhodes also, probably could have been a transfer portal millionaire. He stays. You seeing some things that say, hey, all right, that shows me maybe they do have some money here.
Well,
Because I think getting the Arkansas kids is sending a message to your state. All right, we're not letting these kids get away anymore.
I heard from a reputable source that I think we got like around 10 or 12 million. I guess when Silverfield showed up at the Louisville game, that was part of the funds that he's going to get. No, that's all great news. I mean, honestly, that's all great news, and it's good things to look forward to. I just think at this point for me, and I'm going to try to speak for, I guess, some, if not a lot of Razorback fans. We're tired of being told this year in and year out that, hey, it's going to be so much better this year. It's going to be great. And it hasn't been. I mean, I'm really not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be negative. That's just the facts.
We're going to give him a chance, and we're cheering for him.
No doubt.
This is not Ryan Silverfield's fault. This is more of a how do we get here thing.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like being with that bad girlfriend for like 10 years, and she just keeps crapping on you.
But man, you love her.
Yeah, but you love her anyway, right? But at a certain time, it's like, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going to need some proof, and I'm going to need some progress. And like you said, there's not a Razorback fan that's in this state that's not going to support Ryan Silverfield. That's not going to hope the best for him, to hope that he wins and hope that he brings pride back to this program. But until that is seen, like Jerry Maguire, show me the money. Show me the progress.
They're kind of doing it.
Well,
they're kind of.
No, I mean wins and losses. Wins and losses.
Peyton, 1 year ago, they played Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. And I know transfers and all that stuff.
Well, we didn't.
Who won? Yeah, they did.
No, we didn't go to the bowl game 2 years ago.
They played Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. Bobby Petrino's first year back here, and they beat them. Look at where Texas Tech is this year. We're talking like
my mind there.
We're talking like 11 months ago. Now again, there's like 5 players that are on the Texas Tech team now that were there 1 year ago.
Well,
but
my point had a billionaire come to the table and give them all the money that they needed, and all of a sudden they're top 5 in the country.
This is the model. If you think
money's the model, I agree.
If you think you could do more with less, that ain't the way. You got it. You got to find the money.
you got to find the money, but who's going to give you money if they don't believe in your program?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like, it seems like.
But again, I feel like they did the right things. Getting the in-state kids, getting Quincy Roberts, getting even KJ Jackson, who's shown some promise at quarterback.
There are some.
We're not letting these kids get away anymore.
No doubt, there are some victories in this. Like you just said, getting the in-state kids, raising the money for NIL. These are all great things. And again, I think everybody's going to support Ron Silverfield. Seems like a great guy. Seems like a really nice guy, and he's going to come here and try to do his best. I hope that the situation that I've heard from Memphis fans and from people that, saw him this past year, that, I've heard rumors that, hey, he was going to get fired, so he came here, stuff like that. I hope that's not true.
8-4.
Well, 8-4, but 4-4 in conference play, right?
And they're the Alabama of the group of 5. They have those kind of resources. So
yes,
that is understandable.
But I'm just hoping that at some point we start at this university, at this athletic department, we start bringing other pieces of the puzzle in that support Arkansas, that bleed Arkansas, and that will die for Arkansas sports, because I just don't think we've had that in a long time.
That was my messaging. I feel like even if they're not necessarily in-state kids, they don't have to be from here. There's only 3 million people or so in the state. You can't build a fence with Arkansas.
Okay, when I was a kid, talk to Darren McFadden.
I love it.
No, talk to Darren McFadden, right? Talk to Jonathan Louigs. Talk to these guys that are from Arkansas. Yep. And when they were coming out in high school, they had 1,000 other offers.
I heard DJ Williams say it. It was like when Houston Nutt showed up, it was like, oh, thank you so much, Coach. It's so good to see.
But if you sat down in front of Houston Nutt, that's why I think he would make a great athletic director. Because if you ever sat down with Houston Nutt, he could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. You know what I mean? He was that good at what he did. And, we need more people like that back at the university, because, when you're in this state, and I was raised from 5 years old, ever since J.J. Metters, all of them, Barry Lunny, all of them. I was a Razorback fanatic, and there was no other place I was going to go to but Arkansas. I don't know if the kids in the state feel like that anymore.
What were you offered? Can you?
What do you mean? I wasn't offered no money. What are you talking about? You trying to sucker me?
Didn't you go to Miami on a visit?
I went to
Did they get you to the nightclub? Was there
no?
Was there a couple $500 handshakes?
No,
anything like that?
No, never. I swear, never. I wouldn't have minded it. I ain't gonna lie. But I went to Oklahoma, went to Tennessee, and all these places were great, but they weren't Arkansas. They weren't to me. And
I find it hard to believe nobody offered you money.
No.
20 years ago?
No, nobody offered me money.
What about at Arkansas? Did they have the boosters back?
No.
That LSU game?
No.
Play the game of your life?
No.
Beat the number 1 team in the country?
No.
There's nothing there for you?
No, we were winning for free back then. They didn't have to pay us nothing.
What about Darren? I know you can't
know.
speak for him.
No, listen, I can't speak for
Who
Darren.
paid for that Crown Vic?
I don't know. Darren, for all I know, Darren McFadden is a class act guy. That's what I do know. He's a great guy. He's a good friend. And I have nothing ever to say about Darren. If he took money, good for him. I don't know, but I doubt it. I don't think he's that type of guy. But,
Everybody's got a price.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of, is like now everything's about money. Like everything's about money, which I understand.
Don't you think the NCAA, nobody to blame but themselves for holding these kids back? You to a lesser extent, but you're in this category as well. You could have sold jerseys. You made Arkansas a lot of money. Why weren't they willing to give y'all a little cut of the pie back then? Free labor is a great business model, by the way.
Well, yeah. Well, looking back on it and knowing what I know now, I'm really glad it didn't happen, because how that would have affected my mind or my decisions and what I did. And, and looking now, like especially this year with the coaching hires around the country, like looking at Lane Kiffin, no doubt he's a great coach. He's a great coach. He's a prima donna, but he's a great coach. And how that whole situation down there, how can a coach come to a player, especially when I was playing, when you played and you wanted to go somewhere else, say if you want to go in the state conference, you had to sit out for a year and all this other stuff. But now you just see coaches just going where the money's better.
Yep.
And
no
they used to blame players for doing that all the time.
Players.
So if you're going to set an example, let's set it at that level too, not just the NCAA, but for coaches. And I get he's doing what's best for him, but if we're going to have that standard, let's say, okay, don't give players any more hell about the portal or anything else like that, because the coaches are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think Ryan's done a lot of really good things here initially. Do you agree with me on this? They got to start selling the program better. It seems like they've kind of closed off the doors, some of the Razorback club meetings, some of the presentation to the media. You know, they got to get out there. They got to start selling Arkansas because it's a bummer what it's become. I know it was miserable against Missouri. That was a cold, crappy, sucky day. But you got 25, 30,000 people showing up. That's a problem. You're an SEC school.
I'm afraid there's hardly anything else left to sell. And what I mean by that is
Indiana did it. Loser program. Now number one in the country, paying a coach $11.5 million.
I would like to really know about.
So don't tell me you can't come back.
Curt Cignetti and his situation at James Madison and how he went there, how that unfolded, why he went there. Because it seems like a situation where they really just hit the lottery. Maybe. I don't know. But he only had one good season, winning season, and they put up $93 million? 7 years, 93. Where did they get this money in just 1 year?
Nobody's ever done it before, though.
But no.
Who's won in Indiana?
Okay,
Who's won in Indiana? Lee Corso won like 7 games there. They got the guy statues.
What I'm trying to say is Curt Cignetti just came out of nowhere.
Sure.
He just came out of nowhere.
He was James Madison.
Yes.
He was a Saban disciple way back in the day.
But
he was at Elon. He transitioned, took the job at JMU, transitioned JMU to Division I.
Okay.
You know, Indiana kind of took a flyer.
And don't get me wrong, he's a great coach, but they won how many games last year?
They were 11-1, then lost in the playoffs. They were 11-2. So they have now won, 13. That's 24-2.
Okay, but Arkansas,
in 2 years.
like I just told you,
the winningest program in the country last year.
Arkansas has like the 15th or 17th most 10-win seasons ever in the nation. It's somewhere in there. So
Hall of Frank Royals.
Have you ever heard of a Arkansas Razorback coach ever getting paid the most money of any head coach in America?
Coach Cal.
No, I'm talking about football.
I'm
talking about football.
I get you.
Okay, but Indiana has one season and they paid the dude. Well, I guess technically 2. He got paid towards the end of the year. But $93 million.
And he got paid,
ever see Arkansas
and he got paid
that?
that money for no other reason than because people were sniffing. You know, Penn State was coming. Absolutely.
But okay, look at the years that we had here when I was playing. We had
10 straight wins.
Well,
7-0 in the SEC.
Well, my junior and senior year was incredible. I know my first 2 years were terrible. I mean, we didn't have a good season, but I never would have thought that they would have paid Houston Nutt that kind of money, even though we're having that kind of wins and that kind of season in the SEC.
Just for being in the conference, you turn the lights on in your football building. These teams are getting like $55, $60 million in TV money. Mm-hmm. My biggest concern with Arkansas is I believe in Ryan. I do. And let's keep this in mind too as part of the discussion. So you got Lane Kiffin, Ryan Silverfield, Alex Golish, John Summerall in the conference, Pete Golding, who gets promoted at Ole Miss, probably somebody else I'm forgetting. Will Stein gets a gig in Kentucky. About half those coaches are going to be fired in the next 4 or 5
No
years.
doubt.
So that's just the way it goes. People need to be given a chance. I think Arkansas's problem may be I don't know how much they're willing to sacrifice their profitability.
You're speaking my language.
That's it because, you know, they run it like a business. And this is one of the more profitable athletic departments in the country. And to poor people like us, like you and me, common folk, we look at it and say, well, you made $10 million this year. You should be really happy. And obviously I'm making up numbers. But they may look at it and say, yeah, but we used to make 20, so we lost 10 million. And until they're like, I think Texas Tech is the example we're talking about there. They've been willing to find the donors that can cover the loss. Or there have been programs that say, well, hey, let's try this.
Who are they making the money off of? I don't care if you made $80 million 10 years ago or $20 million now. That's coming off the fan base. That's coming off of us.
Well, or think about it. Did you go to the Notre Dame game? You were there, right?
Yes, I was there.
So halftime, how many people filed out? About 30,000 people?
A lot.
Right? Let's say 30,000 people filed out. Let's say all 30,000 of those people spent $50.
I mean,
that's one.
I tell everybody it's a $15
I think that's
beer,
$1.5 million.
Yes,
yes. All you got to do is put a winning team out there, and you could make that extra $1 million every week.
I am so amazed. I'm about to I'm so amazed where the fans literally want a winner so bad. And the powers that be, whatever it is, I'm not saying anything, but like what you just said, it's all about making money. What's a better way to
And it is a business.
Yes, what's a better way of making money than putting a winner on the football
There
team?
is no marketing in the world that will ever replace winning and or success.
That's not true.
There's no silly halftime show or anything like that ever.
That's not true.
That's
not true. Deion Sanders at Colorado.
They won.
They've won. This year, they have more national televised games than Arkansas did.
They had a 9-win season last year.
Because
they had the Heisman Trophy winner.
I'm not saying we should hire Deion Sanders. I'm saying this. Every time you turn on that game, he has actors, models, ex-athletes, everybody coming to
Bill
him.
Belichick, Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor, Roy Williams. And
that is bringing
and
notoriety.
They're not good.
No, and they're bringing notoriety and fame to them, and they're bringing money there. Don't get me wrong. You can't get there better without winning. I get that.
But are Deion and Bill the right hires? Just like there could be
for Colorado, most definitely.
Let's say Arkansas would have hired John Gruden.
Okay, they would make more money next year than Ryan Silverfield.
But what if they would have went through? I agree. I believe if John Gruden was the coach here, they would, or Lane Kiffin, something like that, something really expensive. They would have sold out every game, season ticket, all that stuff. But what if you're 3-9 next year? Is that
okay?
Is making the money
almost every year?
Is making the money okay? Yeah, but what if? So when Kurt Cignetti got hired, they didn't sell more tickets in Indiana, and they went 11-1.
Cignetti was a nobody. He became somebody.
That's my point. You can hire a nobody that's a winner.
What I'm trying to say,
happen.
But we're talking about the organization itself, the top brass, right? All they care about is making money. Well, crap. If all they care about is making money,
I don't think they'll ever admit that, but I think that's true.
Okay,
I
agree with you.
They're not willing to sacrifice profitability enough.
Okay,
enough.
You don't. If you brought in like a John Gruden or a Deion Sanders or somebody like that, fine. Say you do go 3-9, which we do almost every year.
You think Gruden
would bring in money?
No.
That dude is a.
Do you think he really
class
clown? Did he really want the job?
No,
probably not. Right?
Who does? Who did? Who actually did? Not even the people in the Sun Belt Conference, besides Silverfield, that could have been fired.
Now
the reason why? Well, why wouldn't you take it? But look at Chad Morris. Chad Morris. What's the name?
Alex Golish, Eric Morris.
No, yeah, Eric Morris. Sorry. Look, Eric Morris, Golish.
I think they could have outbid Oklahoma State if they wanted out Eric Morris. I do.
We never are going to outbid anybody.
That's a problem.
We could have had Lane Kiffin.
That was a long time ago.
Long time ago. That was 6 years ago.
And look at
we got Sam Pittman
in the first year though. Who won the game? Pittman beat Kiffin in year one.
Oh God, are you really arguing this right now?
Just say he beat him.
So who's the better hire? Who's the better hire?
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Peyton, that's
you're
not
going off 1 year.
That's not my point. My point is they built an infrastructure around Lane Kiffin. They gave him the resources to win.
Okay, because it was Lane Kiffin. His dad is Monty Kiffin. How many times? One of the greatest defensive minds of all time.
I'm just being a facilitator here. Lane Kiffin's been fired like 8 times.
But not because he wasn't winning, because of
I'm sorry.
You
can move a little bit.
I'm sorry. Not because he wasn't winning.
He's about to come at me right now.
No. Not because he wasn't winning. Because there was always, like, remember what happened at USC? He won like 8 or 9 games, gets off the plane at the tarmac, and they fire him.
Well, different standard there. And okay. I know we've talked about this before. You hate that isn't the standard.
Well, what happened at Tennessee?
Did LSU win 8 games this year?
7 or 8.
They either won 7 or 8. And if they didn't win, I mean, they were really close. If it was 7, they were close to winning 8. Okay. Not only did they fire a coach, they fired a coach for $50 million and then hired another one for $90 million or close to it.
I think Arkansas is like a shell company. You know, they're kind of like a shell company for the powers that be. You know, they're like, hey, this is a nice little modest business we got here.
It is a good business.
It is. But I don't understand why, you know, just a few hundred miles south in Baton Rouge, they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars to have a winner. And here, we're not going to try to spend an inkling of that much. Why? If you don't believe in your program, you're not going to spend that money.
And I think the Texas Tech thing is what's interesting to me, because that's a nothing kind of school. In the middle of nowhere, kids don't want to go there. They spent the money, and they're winning. But I don't think this will happen. They really could. They could win the national title.
I would love to know about that billionaire, whatever.
Cody Campbell.
And okay, who is Cody Campbell to Texas
He's
Tech?
An oil billionaire. I don't even know, but I'm assuming he went to school there.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes. Was it you that told me that Patrick Mahomes gives $15 million every year?
Yeah, he made a massive donation.
Okay,
recently,
because
I don't know
he
what the
went
number
to
was,
Texas
but he made
Tech.
it big.
He believes
and they put his logo on a uniform one week.
Yeah, but I mean, those Those are people that believe in their program. They give money.
Speaking of that logo, they should have retired Darren's number, by the way.
Don't get me freaking started.
I don't think it should be a patch. He's the best player.
You can't win 4 ball games. And the greatest Razorback player that, bar none, in this program that's ever been, you cannot retire his number.
Yeah.
I know people are going to say, oh, Lance Allworth, this and that. I'm saying for what Darren McFadden.
Back-to-back Heisman.
Back-to-back Heisman. Just a freak of an athlete. Brought the Razorbacks back.
Yeah.
I will never understand that.
But to wrap up some of the discussion here on Arkansas, and again, this is not a lot of water under the bridge near here. It's been over a week. I think Ryan's done some really good things. I think Ryan has endeared himself into the fan base. I was at that Louisville game. He got a big-time ovation. He is going to have the support. And that's not to say that Alex Golish would have been some kind of superstar. I think what bothered people is, well, wait a minute. We got outbid again. So we got outbid on Lane Kiffin. When we hired Chad Morris, Auburn outbid. We wanted Gus Malzahn, and we got outbid for Gus Malzahn. So you told us on Friday that Alex Golish was the man, and I absolutely don't fall for the nonsense. They wanted Alex Golish. There were deep discussions, whether or not an actual offer was made. I can't prove that, but they wanted Alex Golish. And then you look at the numbers, and it's, well, wait a minute. We got the 14th or 15th highest paid coach in the SEC, Alex Golish, John Summerall. They get $11 million more. Like, well, this is a bummer. We not as committed as those schools. I think that was more of the disappointment. Had nothing to do with Ryan Silverfield.
I think that's half of it. I think the other half is they didn't want to come here.
The best thing Ryan Silverfield's done since he got the job, it's to me, it's not Quincy Rhodes, it's not KJ Jackson, it's not the in-state kids. I
actually think that's the best thing he's done.
It's not. Maybe it is. To you, that's fine. Hunter Yurachek said he talked to a booster for 5 minutes on Wednesday night at the Louisville game and pledged a 7-figure donation. I think that's if you have somebody that truly can sell, hey, invest in me. Because apparently that was part of the Sam Pittman thing, is people didn't believe in him enough to invest.
Smoke and mirrors. Come on, Trey. That's smoke and mirrors. That's all being leaked out purposely to get the fans on board, which is fine.
But if they're getting those in-state kids that apparently wanted hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're getting Quincy Rhodes, who apparently, I think I called him Quincy Roberts here a couple times. Quincy Rhodes, who apparently wanted, could have commanded over $500,000 in the transfer portal. Okay. The investment's there.
Well, also too though, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors there. Of course, they're going to leak out the information. Hey, this booster said, man, I believe in Ryan Silverfield, so I'm going to give him $7.5 million. And they probably are going to give $7.5 million, but they're all leaking that out there to make people feel better about the situation.
That's fine.
Oh, right? That's
fine. There's damage control. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
with that. But whenever you're saying about, hey, these kids are coming here, I'm glad they're coming here no matter what the situation is. But you have to ask yourself, how much was it them not coming here last year because of Sam Pittman and the 2-10 Razorbacks? Now that they're getting a new head coach, why, they wanted to go to Arkansas alone. That's a good reason to come back, would it not?
Yeah.
I would think so.
And I briefly talked to Quincy Rhodes. I was like, dude, why are you coming back? He literally passing by where our camera was the day that they introduced Ryan. He's like, I love Arkansas. It's where I want to be. I'm an Arkansas kid. It's where I want to be.
There you go, though. And that kind of proved my point. Honestly, if not me. Okay, I'm going to lie. That I would have came anyway. But most kids that are now that
if Miami would have offered you $1 million, you would have went to Miami.
Yeah, think about that. And it's okay. I can go to Miami or I can go to 2-10 Sam Pittman.
And you know what? So would I. I got a saying in life: when people say it's not about the money, 99.9% of the time that means somebody didn't offer enough. That's usually what that means.
I think
because everybody's got a $1 million man.
Money,
you're a pro wrestling guy.
What money symbolizes now? Money is love. Money is love now.
How are you going to show you appreciate me? Because it's not giving me a fancy locker room or tapping me on my head and saying, you're my favorite player.
I know how women feel now. Like, I would know how women feel if I was a college athlete, a high school kid coming out, and somebody said, Peyton, we believe in you so much, we're going to give you $5 million. I'll be thinking, I'm gonna sweat, sacrifice whatever I can because you believe in me.
Yeah.
A high school kid, a $5 million,
17 years old, 18 years old.
That is unprecedented crazy. You buy loyalty.
By the way, you were born at the wrong time.
I don't know about that. Okay. I look at this chaos that this NCAA has consistently put.
But look, again, to defend, I understand people don't like the change, but people tune in and spend all that money on that product to watch the players. It's not to watch Brian Kelly. It's not to watch Lane Kiffin. It's not to watch Sam Pittman. It's not to watch Ryan Silverfield. It's to watch the players.
I'm kind of curious on where all the money went before players got paid.
Coaches.
No, they didn't.
Facilities.
No.
Bull crap.
No.
Come on.
Think about it. What was Nick Saban making in 2014 compared to what he was making in 2022?
I'd probably just to guess, $6 million maybe in 14.
Okay, there's $6 million difference. But now
it about doubled, yeah. I would
okay,
think.
say $6 million. But now you're paying kids an extra $20 million that you supposedly just would have
$20 million in revenue share, and then another. Apparently, Ohio State spent $40 million in the roster.
What were they doing with all that money then, besides probably pocketing it? Right?
The best empires in the history of the world, the Romans, whatever. Building the pyramids in Egypt, free labor. The NCAA was the same way. They had a fantastic business model. We don't have to pay our product because they had no choice.
But I mean, I don't know.
It was the landmark ruling was in California. They allowed for name, image, and likeness. It really, as far as I understand, it started with Ed O'Bannon, star basketball player at UCLA. Apparently, he had an agent or a lawyer, somebody playing the video game. He said, Ed, the '95 UCLA team, which by the way beat Arkansas in the national championship game, he said, you're in this game. Like, they don't have your name, but he's your height, he's your weight, he wears your number. He's like, well, that's a load, dude. Where's my cut? It went to court, and they said, yeah, that's UCLA, EA Sports, whatever, college basketball. They don't own that. That's him. That's his body. Those are his memories. And how they sold all those number 5 jerseys and all those number 15 jerseys with Ryan Mallett in Arkansas, and those players didn't get a cut, that's kind of a bummer.
Well, honestly, it's the same with the NFL, even now. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say that now.
What percentage?
I don't know.
When you would sell a jersey, what percent did you get? 2%?
If.
Really?
I remember
and when you're on the cover
season, I was top 5 in jersey sales.
Wow.
I think I got like 25 grand. I mean, it's bull crap all the way around.
We live in 25 now.
But when it was millions, though, you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know. There's got to be some kind of happy medium that the players in NCAA can meet at, because it is just the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West.
And again, to be clear, we're Peyton and I, at least I'm going to speak for myself, we're fully supportive of Ryan Silverfield. Do not take this tone in any kind of way. We're just talking facts, and again, the dust is settled. And I think there is some good equity that he has built up here. And to me, Peyton, the transfer portal opens beginning of January. When we start seeing that, I think that indicates how serious Arkansas is. How many top 100 players, top 150 players are you signing in the transfer portal? Because we just talked about it. The best transfer portal class in the country last year was Texas Tech. They lose to Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. Now they're the number 4 team in the country. They might win the national title. You can flip it like that.
No, you can. But I'm sorry. In the SEC, it's totally different.
I'm with you. You going to be back next week?
Yeah, I'll be here.
We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.